Duke, Arizona, Caleb Love with a chance to become an all-time college basketball figure. Not that he isn't already, but he extinguished Coach K. He could exterminate Cooper Flagg and put a bow on basically being the biggest Duke villain of all time. Or Duke could just keep rolling through this tournament as they've done in the first two rounds. They looked unbeatable against Baylor. Baylor, I thought, was up for the challenge early, made things interesting for 10 minutes, and then long story short, Duke wins by 23 extremely comfortably. Kind of feels like they're just too good for everyone in the sport right now. Where do you think Arizona falls on the Duke barometer here?
I'm still trying to bounce back from the fact we just got to exterminate and extinguish in the first intro here, but I think it kind of makes sense on this one. Look, it's a very interesting matchup. I think that Arizona has taken a turn as a team in terms of physicality. I've been very impressed with their defense, and if you're just playing the matchup game, like you're just kind of just looking at how certain players can match up with certain players. I'm not saying they got Cooper Flag stoppers or stoppers for anybody on this team, but I think just from a physicality standpoint and a defensive standpoint, Arizona is a team that can provide some issues, I think, for Duke in a world where you match them up physicality wise. On the flip side of that, though, you know, I know Arizona's an offense that they rank pretty highly as far as metrically and efficiency. The team can't shoot though. They're in the 200s in 3-point percentage, and Duke is one of the best defenses in the sport. And I think earlier in the year we saw what Arizona's half court offense look like against Duke, and they weren't able to generate any points. So it's a very intriguing matchup on both sides.
Yeah, I do you think Duke wants to see Arizona again? They played in the non-con. Duke won comfortably. You
Mhm.
think yes?
Yeah, well, I also believe that Duke wants to see everybody.
Like they don't care. Just
Yeah,
line them up. We're better.
they'll see you the first time, they'll see you again, they'll see you three times if it comes down to that. But yes, they will see you again.
The psychology of this game is the most interesting part of it to me. I don't know, respectfully to either of these teams or these players in this game, I don't know that there's anything schematically or X's and O's wise that I'm all that intrigued by here. We've already seen these teams play. I think both teams are different. There's different guys on the floor, different changes have been made. But I don't expect what these teams try to do to look all that different than the first meeting. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But Duke just sort of shut Arizona down. They didn't have the offensive answers, and by the end of the game, they held them to 55 points, won a game by double digits. The interesting part of this game to me by far is how both teams approach it mentally, because you are in the Sweet 16. From the Duke side, a lot of new faces in this locker room that have not played in this tournament. They've looked super comfortable through two games, but we know this pretty well, Cart. When you progress in the NCAA tournament, things get a little more real. It's not just the opening round 16 seed game anymore. All of a sudden, like playing a really good team, all eyes are on you. And if you're the favorite, you're supposed to win this game. You're supposed to do the Duke thing. John Shire has gotten to this point in his past couple of tournaments, for lack of a word, shit the bed. So I don't expect that to happen. I love Shire, but I think there's an argument everyone in this Duke locker room may look up and see Caleb Love and be like, that's the one guy we wish we weren't seeing, given the history here. And then from the Arizona side, they should be terrified of Duke. They should be terrified of this Duke team. But I don't know. I got this weird pit in my stomach feeling that, like, the way this Arizona team has approached games for the last month, they don't mind being the underdog. And they kind of like, did you see the post game press conference where they had the mic in front of Caleb Love, and
Yeah.
he kind of just like smirked, and
hmm
even like Carter Bryant was behind him, like, yeah, like we want this, we want the challenge. I kind of think that's real. Do you think that's real for Arizona?
I do think that's real, but at the same time that you mentioned Shire doing the shit the bed thing, can we talk about Thomas Lloyd?
We can. He's made second weekends consistently though. Third Sweet 16 in 4 years.
Okay, I guess that's fair to say. And what Shire went out, what, Elite Eight last year?
Shire lost in the Elite Eight to NC State last year, and
That's
the year before in the round of 32 to
Ew.
Tennessee.
Yeah. All right. And I mean, yeah, I think there is a certain bit of I guess here's why I'll land on. I like the psyche of Arizona's basketball team. I think they got dogs. I think they got dogs. I don't think they're afraid of Duke. And that's not that doesn't do anything for them necessarily. You can not be afraid of Duke and still get your ass whooped. That's very much a thing. But you better be at least mentally and physically prepared to play this Duke team, and I think that Arizona will be that.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. Um, so I want to look back at the first time these two teams played.
That game was so ugly.
It was really ugly. It was really, 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 really ugly. So a couple things have sort of changed since then. For Duke, Caleb Foster started, played 26 minutes in that game. Sion James came off the bench, only 20 minutes. That's really the big major tweak was we still thought Caleb Foster was the guy in the backcourt, and we hadn't handed the reins over to a better player yet. For Arizona, Krivas was starting in the front court, played 21 minutes. Trey Townsend was in a really big minutes role, playing 27 very empty minutes in this game. Toby Awaka and Henry Visar combined to only play 25 minutes off the bench. Delorso, only 4 minutes off the bench in this game. So personnel changes are going to be big. This is two different versions of these two teams. Which team do you think has grown more through their personnel changes since the time these two teams played in November?
I think it's Arizona. I think it's Arizona. I think they've had a major team shift. Carter Bryant's a starter. They had, I think Vassar and Awaka really stepped up in their roles, and Trey Townsend's taking a little bit more of a back seat. And then without Krivas, they kind of reinvented the team. Now, on the other side, this isn't to say that Duke hasn't done the same as well. Like Sion James is a starter. Also, like this was back in the what I like to call the Isaiah Evans DNP era. That's not around anymore.
Yeah, you're right. It's hard because coming into this preview in my head, I'm like, well, Duke handled them by 14, and Duke is so much better now than they were then. Like that's where my head was at. It's like if November Duke got you by 14, March Duke is going to get you by 28.
Right.
But I do think you're right. I think Arizona is actually the team that has leapt forward more since the first time they played. But that says more about where Arizona used to be than what Duke is.
And also both teams leapt forward
There's
too.
similar leaps either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. To that point, since actually this is since Arizona's they had the awful non-con, and then starting December 18th, they just like flipped a switch and were awesome.
Yeah.
Since that day, 27 games. Arizona is the seventh best team in the sport. They're 20-7. Duke is the second best team in the sport. They're 24-1. Houston's actually been better than Duke in that sample size. So this is a Sweet 16 game, but it really feels like an Elite Eight game at worst, if not a Final Four game here. Should be entertaining. How many times could you simulate this game before Arizona wins?
Not a big simulator guy, but let's say this is a 7 game series and they play the full seven, right? They play 7 games.
Are we going home and home too, or are they all neutral?
All neutral.
Okay.
I think Duke wins 6 times.
It's a 7 game series, and Duke wins 6-1. They win the first four, and then we still play the
Yeah,
fifth.
well, I stated that I want all 7 played.
Okay. Okay. So you think Arizona would get 1 out of 7?
Yeah.
Feels about right. Maybe a little low. Maybe.
I can't believe Duke. I can't get over the fact they played Caleb Foster 26 minutes at one time.
Yeah, that was the early season Duke. Fun times. Um,
They're still winning.
what is the recipe for Arizona to do the 1 out of 7 games thing and win this game? Is it just I mean, I don't like dumbing it down to just Caleb Love because I feel like that's the elementary way to view this team. They have a lot of great players beyond that. Certainly, Jaden Bradley, KJ Lewis are guys that can win you a game and be phenomenal. I love what the front court has become. Carter Bryant has been an impact guy at times, but I guess like, what's the number one thing Arizona needs to do to win this game?
So I don't like the. I feel like I come into all these previews, and I like to come with a little something different because obviously you look at the what the cookie cutter phrase would be here. It'd be like you need to hit a lot of shots. You need to have guys hit 3 pointers, and you need to muck the game up. I feel like that's what you say when teams are underdogs. Just muck the game up and make it nasty. But I truly do think that that is what I would do if I was Arizona. I don't know if that's the approach, but I think I go back to how this Arizona team can be effective, like physicality wise. Like in that first game, Duke turned the ball over 14 times, and I think that this Arizona team is better defensively now than they were earlier in the year. I just think that they have the horses to get after guys, right? They have the horses to get after Proctor. Carter Bryant is shaped like Cooper Flag. So that's something. I just think that they can physically match up with this Duke team and make things difficult on them. And, maybe put Duke in a spot that they haven't been in a while. Like Cooper Flag was out in the ACC tournament game. So yeah, those games were close. But when they've been at full strength, they've kind of cruised.
Yeah.
They've been comfortable. So I think you do need to make them uncomfortable.
Yeah. Force a little game pressure.
Yeah.
Like just,
Because the pressure's on Duke.
you know what you need to do? This is easier said than done. You got to get to halftime and have this be a game. Can you do that? Yes or no? If you can, then I think in the second half things get real sweaty. Just everyone on Duke. Not that they can't pull away still, but I just think first half, oh, it's a close game is one thing. Second half, oh my God, we're in a 3-point game and Caleb Love has the ball is completely different. And
Mhm.
I think the reality was coming in, Baylor, even at their best, didn't really have the horses to do that. I think Arizona's the first opponent that Duke has seen in this tournament that if they play their A-plus game, is good enough to be tied with Duke with 10 minutes left. They've got to get to that point and hope that all the pressure just cracks a little bit. The second thing they need to do, for me, can somebody step up and make Proctor have a bad game? Like, because Cooper Flag ain't going to change. Cooper
A-
Flag is a
A-
constant.
Arizona's got guys to do that.
This version of Tyrese Proctor makes this team unbeatable, man.
Yeah,
I mean, he is 13 for 16 from three in the NCAA tournament, back-to-back Ken Pom MVPs. He's hit 19 threes in his last three games, 19 for 30 from three.
that's crazy.
It's absurd. And look, maybe that's just who he is. It's not. It's not who he's been his whole career. But like to me, that would be the key because you're not going to just take away Cooper Flag. Respectfully to Carter Bryant, I've seen the same tweets you have of like he's shaped the same. Come on here, Carter Bryant's not disrupting Cooper Flag at all. But the Arizona guards, Bradley and Love, could absolutely disrupt Proctor, and I think that's the key.
Yeah, and look, I Arizona has the guards to do that. KJ Lewis, Caleb Love, Jaden Bradley, those are all really good defensive guards that have really quick hands. So, I mean, in that first game, Jaden Bradley had 5 steals and KJ Lewis had 3 steals.
Yeah.
They can get after him. So it's just like, you can't put up 55 points. They scored 27 points in the first half of that game.
It's been years since I've been able to do this, but can I bring out my Ken Pom player comps?
Oh, here we go.
So Tyrese Proctor, any guesses on some names on the 10 most similar seasons to Tyrese Proctor this year? I'll be
Uh,
stunned if you get any of these right, but they're fun.
I don't even want to guess.
So just gonna name the four that intrigue me here. Landry Shamet, good
Hmm,
one.
good one.
Eric Ayala
Huh?
from Maryland. Eric Hunter from Purdue.
Huh?
And Grayson Allen at Duke. Kind of all over the place there, but like I feel like right now, NCAA tournament wise, I view this Duke team. I'm like, I am scared of Tyrese Proctor. And then I looked at the Ken Pom comps, and I'm trying to imagine being scared of Eric Ayala or Eric Hunter.
But here's the cart palm on this one. Tyrese Proctor is basically turned into like Derek White for this
Yeah,
team.
you're right.
Like he's a lockdown defender, and now he doesn't miss from three, and he's 6'5".
You're right. He's good.
Yeah, respectfully to Arizona, y'all are cooked if they get this version. Y'all can do whatever y'all want. Like it's spooky if Duke's playing like this.
Do you want to get clipped? I heard you learned what clip farming is. Do you want to clip farm for a second?
I mean, look, I think that this could be a close one. I think it ends up somewhere being like I don't know, like maybe a 6, 7 point game, I think.
Okay, all right. Um, So dumb. I would like you to rank the top five guards in this game that you trust.
Ooh,
And you can count Khan as a guard. So the guards I'm looking at are Proctor, Sion, Khan, Caleb Love, KJ Lewis, Jaden Bradley. Put those in order one to six on how much you trust them the most to the least.
ooh.
For this game, too. Not in general for the season, but for this one game.
Caleb Love one.
Whoa.
Yeah, I trust him the most. I do. In this setting, in this game, yep, I do. Uh, so Caleb Love one. Then I think I would go Tyrese two, Sion three, Jaden Bradley four, and then probably KJ then Khan. Just trust.
Why is Khan last?
He's the freshman.
He's been a pretty trustworthy freshman, though, right? At least for the last
Yeah,
3 months.
for the most part, but he's a freshman.
Okay, my order is very different. I would go Proctor one, Khan two, Love three, Bradley four, KJ five, Sion six. No disrespect to Sion, but
Why Caleb? Why those guys above Caleb Love?
because I don't think Proctor or Khan are capable of losing Duke this game in a way that Caleb Love is.
New Arizona, Caleb Love being bad doesn't affect them as much as it used to.
Yeah, I don't think that's true. People say that a lot. I don't think that's true.
Why?
Um, because I think Arizona's lost all of his stinkers this year. One, two, three, four, five. 5 games that Caleb Love has gone in single digits, they've lost. And the shot volume is still there. He should score a lot more than single digits. They've won 2 games that he's been in single figures.
He's never in single figures.
25% of the time. 7 games this year.
I'm just saying you don't need a Caleb Love masterclass for them to win games.
You don't. But to win this one, you do.
See, I don't think so.
You think Arizona can beat Duke without Caleb Love masterclass?
Yeah,
I don't get that. How?
because I think there's other talented players on this team, and honestly, I think it's going to be one more on the stopping Duke end than anything.
Yeah, but like, so what though? Jaden Bradley's going to outplay Cooper Flag?
No, I think Cooper Flag is going to outplay everybody on the floor, but I think there's other guys on Arizona that can score the basketball. I think Trey Townsend's played better as of late. At least he did in the Big 12 tournament. Don't quote me on the first 2 games.
He had 2 and 3 against Oregon last game in 10 minutes.
Yeah, don't quote me on the first 2 games.
In the Big 12 tournament, he had 0 and 2 in the championship against Houston in 8 minutes.
What do you have before that?
I don't see it, man. I think like against a lot of teams, yes, I agree with you. Arizona's very good. I don't think you're beating the best team in the country without your superstar being the best player on the floor. And that's what makes this game interesting because Caleb Love is capable of doing that, but it is the coin flip thing. Are you going to get great Caleb? Are you going to get average Caleb or stinker Caleb? If you get average Caleb, maybe you can win. If you get great Caleb, you can definitely win. If you get the awful once a month Caleb Love game, you're cooked. And that would scare me here. Um, to that point, before we do predictions, this is how Caleb Love's season has ended the last couple years. He went 5 for 18 from the floor last year in the loss to Clemson in the Sweet 16. He went 3 for 15 from the floor the year before in their ACC tournament loss to Virginia before they did not make the NCAA tournament. He went 5 for 24 in the national championship game, a game in which they blew a 20-point lead and lost to Kansas. 5 for 24. And then as a freshman, even going back that far, they lost in the first round of the NCAA tournament to Wisconsin, and he went 4 for 13 from the floor. every season he's been in college, no matter what the situation is, it ends with a Caleb Love stinker. So I think that's probably likely to happen somewhere along this run. I don't know if it's this game or not, but Duke's defense is so good, it probably should be this game. Like if there was a game for Caleb Love to struggle, it would be against the Duke defense, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's one of the best in the sport.
Yeah. He went 3 for 13 against Duke in November.
Hmm.
Scored 55 points as a team. So
That's the word.
tough. All right. Predictions. What's the spread here? Duke -8.5 is the spread. Ken Palm has Duke favored by 8. What do you think happens?
I think Arizona covers. I think Duke
Yeah.
wins. Yeah,
So you think this is like a come down to the final possession game?
I think so. Yeah, maybe not final possession, but I think it'll be like a 7 point win.
I don't get what you're doing.
What?
Why are you doing the thing?
Hmm?
I like Duke by 23.
You think it's a blowout for real?
I think that Duke is going to win every game in this tournament by 20 plus points.
It's gonna be a UConn type run.
More impressive than UConn type run. It's my current
Sheesh.
belief. We'll see. Hope I'm wrong. I'd like to see Duke in a dogfight with somebody. Arizona's good enough to do it.
It is March, and that means that March Madness is upon us. And if you are looking for a place to play, Underdog Fantasy has you covered. Sign up and deposit using code SLEEPERS, that's code SLEEPERS, to receive up to $1,000 in bonus credit plus a free pick. Head over to Underdog Fantasy today and use promo code SLEEPERS to take advantage of this amazing offer.